Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. This is it.
This is Top Flight Time Machine. I am Andy Hotbody Dawson. Pow, pow, pow.
I am Sam Nifty Delaney, so what?
Welcome along. It's the Monday morning episode, but you get it early on a Sunday evening if you're a subscriber to our IFS, Iron Filing Society Patreon subscriber thing, which basically keeps this podcast going, doesn't it?
Have we got some new trialists on the Patreon Turbo?
We did. We had a little offer on at the end of last week, and it recruited, I think, 10 new subscribers. Better than nothing.
Well,
welcome aboard.
I would
all
like
of
to
them.
say welcome to those people, and thank you, and I hope you stick around.
Yeah.
And for those who didn't take us up on it, well, you know, it's always there. The free trial spot gone, but you might just want to make the financial commitment because it's what keeps us here.
Yeah, if you do appreciate the podcast at all, you know, chuck a few quid our way. You can subscribe to the classic level, and it's just £3 a month, and you don't get much extra for that, but you get everything advert free. You know, £3 a month
and a few bits and bobs. Yeah,
75 pence a week. Fuck's sake.
Feels better than taking money from advertisers, from our point of view.
Especially
be nice to have everything ad free one of these days.
Some of the things we get asked to advertise, like razor blades, sharks, poison.
Yeah, sponsored by Poison. There's a gang of murderers who want to up their profile, and they've been sniffing about. There's no paperwork drawn up yet, but they've sought out whether, you know, get an indication of whether we'd be interested. And the problem is that morally, I'm like, no, I don't really want to promote these murderers. But on the other hand, it's like, well, they've got quite a big marketing budget.
But they're not just the racist murderers.
Murderers.
I look closely into it. They're racist murderers.
Okay, that's really going to present a problem.
It's tricky, but we might have to do it. You know.
Yeah, and unless people pay, then we have to take this awful, ghastly advertising revenue.
So that's the Iron Filing Society, patreon.com /Top Flight Time Machine. Give it a look and help us to avoid having to shill for racist murderers.
I heard a funny a line about advertising yesterday. I was watching film American Fiction, which was out in cinemas quite recently.
Is it good?
Really good.
Things about it, yeah.
Absolutely loved it. It's actually based on a book that I read not that long ago, a few months ago, called Eraser. It's not a new book. It's like quite an old book by a bloke called Percival Everett. I mean, not old. Like from a few years back. And he is a brilliant writer. So that's just a general recommend. He's very funny. If you like sort of comic novels, he's the man, in my opinion.
What's he called again?
He's called Percival Everett.
Right, I'm going to have a look.
Cool name. His funniest one is one of his most recent, which was called The Trees. Okay. And anyway, they're very funny books. Really, really funny books. Very readable. He's a brilliant writer. And it's a book called Eraser that this was based on. And it's a great film adaptation. And it's about an author. And at one point, his agent... He runs into his agent's office and says, "Why was there an ambulance outside? I was worried." And the agent says, "Oh, it's no one here. It was an ad executive on the 13th floor. He had an aneurysm." He said, "Imagine that. Your brain exploding when you're trying to think of an advert for a fucking carpet cleaner."
I like it. I'll check his books out.
Very, very strong recommend that fella, yeah.
I've got a little bit of time on my hands this evening. I might start reading one.
I haven't read them all. I've read a few of them, and they've all been really good. But the one that got me started was The Trees. I think it was nominated for a Pulitzer or something.
It was nominated for the Booker. It says
that's it, for the Booker. So I'd read like a lot about it as a result of that. Picked it up. Really loved it, and then it was good because it sort of sparked me off thinking, oh, this bloke's great. So then he's got a bunch of other books and you go on a little bit of a binge, you know, wormhole, and they're all good, but that's the best one.
If you've got a Kindle, which is how I read a lot of my books
me
these
too
days.
I prefer I actually had a book recently in paper form, and it was troubling me because I'm so used to reading on Kindle that I actually downloaded it on Kindle.
I'm reading one in hardback at the minute, and it's really heavy.
It's just annoying. At night, I really like waking up in the night and reading on my Kindle to get back to sleep.
Yeah, I read in bed as well.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's too heavy. The book is too heavy.
And I also like to make the print really big on a Kindle one.
You do what, sorry?
I make the print. You can make the text much bigger when you're reading on Kindle. You can make it as big as you want, mate. You can make it massive. And in the spirit of my living out loud approach to life, I make it. I don't go to the biggest, because if you make the biggest, there's about like 3 words on a page. But I make it pretty big, and it's weird, but it makes the whole thing readable. I finish it quicker. It's weird. It's the same number of words. And yet, because I've got them nice and large on the page, and you can change the font.
But and I suppose as well, you use up a lot of calories because you're constantly touching the screen to turn to the next page.
It's good for your calorie burn. Yeah. I count it as one of my 10,000 steps a day.
We could work this into some kind of grifting program where we tell people how to lose weight from reading.
Talking of grifting, right? Yeah. Let's start with a negative, but our favourite nature adjacent podcast, the High Performance Podcast.
I do.
I had a really terrible thing about it. Recently Gazza went on it, and and they got a big news line. People like news lines, don't they? It's not something that we go in for on this podcast, right? No. But a lot of podcasts and media outlets generally, they'll always be told, try and get the news line, try and get the news angle, then we get a load of PR.
Right? How does this work? Do they then put out like a press release or something?
Usually, yeah.
With the news line on it?
Usually,
so what we should be doing? Shall we try that?
I don't think we've got many news lines, but we could try. Yeah, we could try and get you. I mean, the thing is, right, the media generally will operate on that basis, and everything is about a news line. That's why everything like on television news is like geared towards controversy as opposed to proper journalism, because you think, right, get a guest on, get a politician on, for example, goad them into saying something that they kind of would rather not say, right? Stick to, avoid nuance and detail, stick to sensationalism, get the line out of them. Once you've got the line, before the interview's even over, if it's live, a producer behind the scenes is getting that and sending it out on Newswires and to all of their friends in the press or wherever. And then it just creates noise, and they think what that actually does in the long term, it's hard to tell, because it doesn't necessarily make you more money. It doesn't necessarily make you bigger, because people don't go, right, let's start watching that for like a podcast. People don't go, right, they got a bit of controversy coming out of this podcast, let's all listen to that podcast and then we'll all carry on listening to it forever. But people are obsessed with attention, and the fact that people are obsessed with attention is really bad, because it creates shit content, and it's really nasty.
Why we're not doing so well, because
we're not obsessed with attention. And I'm delighted by. I mean, obviously, I personally am obsessed by attention. I'm not going to sit here and say I haven't been an attention seeker in my life. I have. I don't think you. I think you're rather more mature than that. But I think as a podcast, we are the opposite of that, because we just talk about things that interest and amuse us.
Are we Britain's shyest podcast?
Sometimes in the knowledge that it's actually quite boring. In fact, sometimes we'll pride ourselves on finding the least newsworthy possible content we can find. And that is what makes us good. But later on, I'm going to talk about my shed. Well, there you go. Fucking perfect. And I've got an amazing cat bit of news as well. So, but the people at this is what I've heard from a good source, and I'm probably legally exposing myself now. So who knows? Maybe this will be our controversy moment. Ooh. But I've heard from a few people around the Gazza camp that he went on, and they sort of pushed him on to talk about his drinking. And obviously, we know Gazza's struggled with alcohol his whole life, really, and it's sad. And he kind of was reluctant, but they pushed him on it. And in the end, you'll know, because I think you and I discussed this maybe off air, that he actually said something. He said something like, I was a sad drunk and then I was a happy drunk. Or I was a happy drunk and then I was a sad drunk. I actually wrote a piece about it in the paper. But it got written about a lot of places, right? And it went out on the podcast with a video clip as well. And they got a lot of coverage for that. Fair enough, that's the game lots of people play. I've done it, not on this podcast, but I've done it elsewhere, working for media outlets where you're always chasing like a bit of news, right? And plus as well, I did write about that quote when he said it.
A bit of back
got a bit of work out of it. Yeah, got paid for it. No, but I mean, it was more like they used it as a news peg and said, can you write about that notion rather than writing about Gazza personally? But anyway, apparently Gazza, I've heard that Gazza reached out and said, no, actually, could you leave that out? I regret saying that, and I don't want loads of extra scrutiny about my alcoholic intake. And
I read something around that interview, I'm pretty sure, where he kind of it made out that he's not in the depths of alcoholic despair at the moment.
No.
He's doing all right. He's obviously, he lapses now and again, but at the minute he's kind of doing okay. So
he's kind of managing it. Yeah.
That was confusing as to why that was thrown out there as being the big story.
I heard that he, and this is, I suppose you're exposed, but yeah, I mean, I just think that, like, he wasn't particularly keen on that being the line they used, wasn't particularly keen on it being in the show in the first place, but high performance means that you need to succeed. And if you want to succeed, you stop at nothing. And you don't let people's feelings get in your way.
Yeah. And
that's high performance, Andy.
If someone, one of your guests comes back to you and says, look, I'd rather I hadn't said that.
A vulnerable
I'd prefer
person.
It if it wasn't in it. Sorry, that is low performance. You didn't perform to your best on that podcast. So that's low performance, and that needs to be exposed as an example.
Exactly. You're a low performance person. It's probably why you developed a drink problem in the first place, because you were low performance. You couldn't control yourself. You couldn't control yourself. You were always thirsty.
Yes,
and
you're a
thirst is a
footballer.
weakness.
And there's a lot of exercise in football and all that, and you do get thirsty. But drink water.
But come on, there has to be a line. I'll drink one of these green drinks that you get.
Yeah, Lucozade. Try that.
Yeah. High performance sports isotonics. Maybe they'll launch their own high performance drink soon. The sad thing is, if they do, it'll be a massive success and make them millions. Like, definitely. Jake Humphrey's high performance shake. Drink this at 4 a.m. every morning, just after you've had your morning ice attack, and you'll perform 20% more highly. I just thought that was horrible.
Higher than what?
It was horrible. Huh?
20% higher than what?
Higher than your ordinary performance.
I wonder how many of our listeners actually listen to that podcast.
A few got in touch.
Have they?
And some people go, I think you misunderstand it. You misunderstand it. They're just trying to make people better.
I'm not sure.
Maybe not everyone needs to be better. Not everyone needs to be better.
What do you need to be better for?
Maybe you need to be worse.
Just what you're doing's fine. You're all right.
Maybe
keep doing what you're doing.
Maybe not only is what you're doing fine, maybe actually you could get away with doing a bit less.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Rest. Stop lying to yourself all the
You
time.
could probably do a little bit less and be fine. Mm. You might be doing a bit too much.
Try doing less at work. Try walking out the door at work at 5:30 when your contractual hours are up. Just do that. See what happens. You'll feel good.
Like what you said to that bloke that time when he said, "I like David Cameron. I'm a." What did he say? I'm a striver.
I'm a worker, not a shirker.
Yeah.
I said, what's wrong with being a shirker?
Yeah, exactly. I'm a shirker, not a worker. And in fact, I think we did T-shirts of that. They may still be available on the Redbubble. I'm a shirker, not a worker. Like, what the fuck? Like, don't let these those were the cunts who got elected all those years ago. They tricked everyone. Because what we've had is 14 years of nightmarish national decline, pain, death, poverty. There is not one positive to have come out of it. I mean, you can even point at positives. You know, you could probably pick out some positives from the Thatcher era. I mean, look at the music, right? But not even the music's been that good.
Films were good.
Films, music.
I had to walk away from the TV to record this podcast with you, and it was 10 minutes before the end of Ghostbusters.
Oh.
That was a great film. That was one of Thatcher's films, Ghostbusters.
Yeah, she invested in it with national money.
It was taxpayers' money. It was during Thatcher's era. It was about an exciting young start-up.
Yeah.
So these four fellas had got together and started busting ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fucking brilliant Thatcherite film, Ghostbusters.
It was, yeah. The best bit is when Sigourney Weaver becomes possessed and turns all sexy.
That's the bit when I turned it on.
Yeah.
If you'll pardon the phrase.
You kept watching.
And I didn't realise it had been on. And I'm like, oh man, there's only 20 minutes left. Oh fuck, I've got to go do this podcast. So now I'm on iPlayer downloading it for later on. Tonight's Ghostbusters night.
Brilliant. There's a new Ghostbusters coming out. I've
got the house to myself. My son decided to go to his mum's much earlier in the day because we had a bit of a disagreement about something. So I've had the entire day to myself. Yeah. I've got the entire evening to myself. That's why I've been rearranging my shed. That's what I've been doing with the shed. I've mowed the lawn because the weather was nice.
Oh, you fucking legend. What a Sunday.
Proper fucking dad stuff today.
Yeah.
Proper dad Sunday. But as well, there's no significant football on. And that's been a massive boon.
It's nice,
No fucking fretting about going to the match, getting away from the match, looking at the match.
Having to look at football. Yeah, fuck all that.
Just before I forget, England match was on last night against Brazil. Obviously, I turned it off after about 6 minutes, but I put BBC Two on, and there was a fantastic documentary about ants.
Oh,
and I'll tell you what it was called. It'll be on iPlayer. This is this week's strong recommendation. Natural World. That's what you need to search for. Empire of the Desert Ants. Natural World visits the Arizona desert where a new honey ant queen wages an intense battle for survival as she attempts to build and defend her empire, eliminating rivals with ruthless efficiency, sacrificing thousands in her quest for domination, murder, cannibalism, genocide. She will do anything to keep her crown.
Whoever fucking wrote that is a legend, because that's how you bring this nature stuff to life, mate.
Fuck me.
They made it sound like that Game of Thrones stuff.
There was a battle in the last 10 minutes where the colony was invaded by another gang. I tell you, one of the greatest things I've seen on telly this year. It's from 2011. It's not new.
Could we take some clips and do some voiceovers like we did with Lampard and Klopp that time?
It could be diveable. That's all I'm saying. It could be diveable.
That sounds brilliant. What channel did you say?
It was BBC Two.
Right.
Natural World, Empire of the Desert Ants.
I'll watch that with my son in the week. He'll like that.
Yeah, honestly, I'll send you the link. Must watch.
Talking of England games, they showed a clip which I retweeted earlier of an England versus Brazil game in 1987, which I'm pretty sure was the game where we first became aware of Mirandinha.
I was just going to say,
you disliked in that era. And he... and fucking Did you see this clip? Maradona's. It's Nick Owen, who I've always quite liked. He's sort of quite cheeky, isn't he?
Genial.
Yeah. Nick Owen is hosting this game. Hello, it's me, Nick Owen. It's England-Brazil. Right?
Make yourself comfortable.
England-Brazil's on. Hello, England-Brazil's on. Here's
I'm
my guest.
I'm going to present it.
I'm presenting it, aren't I? Guess who I've got helping me in the studio? You never guess. All right, cut to a wide, we'll shoulder cunts. Ozzy Ardiles and, drum roll, fucking Diego Maradona.
Whoa! Fucking hell. Well, this is 87.
87.
This is a year after the handball.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
mate, you have got to watch this.
Cunts.
Look on my Twitter. I retweeted it earlier, right? You couldn't... If we were making this up as a joke on the podcast Top Flight Time Machine, it couldn't have been more fucking this and that, right? Maradona sat there, right, slumped, with a massive fucking grin on his face, right? And Ardiles is sat next to him, and he goes... oh, congratulations. And Nick Owen doesn't fuck around. This is why I like Nick Owen. He does one softball question. He goes, hello, Diego, we're honoured to have you here. And Ardiles is translating, and he goes, blah, 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 and Maradona just goes, straight away, he's just got a grin. He goes, yeah, thanks.
I've got it on now, yeah.
And then he goes, he asks him one question. He goes, congratulations on winning the league with Napoli this season. And he just goes, yeah. And he just looks a bit indifferent. He goes, yeah, it's good. The people are very happy. And he goes, yeah.
Jalapeño.
Here's a brief but annoying message to let you know that you wouldn't be hearing this brief but annoying message if you were a subscriber to our Iron Filing Society Patreon offering.
For the price of a pint and a St Clement's each month, you can get up to 4 episodes a week, 9 months before the rest of the world gets them. Early access to regular episodes, lots of other marvellous benefits, and there's absolutely no adverts or brief but annoying messages like this that will get right on your ticks.
Find out more and subscribe now at tftimemachine.com/ironfilings.
Jalapeño. Jalapeño.
Anyway, what do you think about the old handball in the World Cup? He goes, what have you got anything to say about that goal in the World Cup against England? And Maradona just laughs and goes to Ardiles, what? You mean the second one? I'll talk about that, no problem. And then Nico says, no, not the second one, the first one, the handball. He goes, no. There's nothing to say about that goal. And then he goes, well, you admit it's a handball? And Ardiles says it to him. Maradona's practically pissing himself at this point. He goes, what? Ardiles has to repeat it to him. He goes, no, I will never, ever admit that. Never. And Nick Owen's like, well, it was a handball. And Maradona's just sat there fucking laughing, watching the clip back. He's enjoying watching it.
Yeah, there's like a grin comes over his face just as he handballs it in the clip. His own face is in the corner of the screen.
It's fucking great.
And he just like goes, yeah, there it is.
Nick Owen thinks he's done a gotcha moment. Do you know what I mean? He thinks I've fucking done him. We're going to get him in. And we've told him that we're not going to mention the handball. But fuck that. When we're live, I'm going to fucking mention it straight away. And then we'll watch him squirm. Oh, Nick Owen. Oh, poor naive Nick Owen. You completely underestimate Maradona doesn't squirm. He doesn't know the meaning of the word squirm. There's no Argentinian word for squirm.
What, they want me to go in and not talk about the handball? I smell a rat. I'll do it.
Fucking hope. I hope they ask me about it, and I tell you what else as well. I hope they run the fucking clip. I love watching it. I watch it on my own at home all the time when I need to get myself cheered up.
Oh, that's so good.
It's really good. I can't believe this clip isn't more famous. 1 year after it, they get him in there. And actually, just the thing, when I started watching it, the main thing that appealed to me before I realised that was going to be the main nub of it was just the idea that Ozzy Ardiles was translated. I don't know why. I just found that really entertaining.
I wonder if he just popped over to visit Ozzy.
Maradona's here. We've had to get Ardiles in to translate. He don't speak a fucking word of English. So last minute, someone said, how are we going to fucking interview the cunt? I said, it's all right. I got Ardiles' number. We'll get him up here. Send a taxi.
It's fucking good. It's
fucking great. Yeah.
Oh, what was I going to say? There was something else I was going to recommend on the telly. I can't remember what it was now. But, yeah. The other thing I've been looking at, I noticed that Dan Wootton is trending on Twitter. And I thought, let's have a look.
Has he resurfaced?
Yeah.
Has he resurfaced? There's been a gong resurface.
He's launching his web presence, and he's posted an article today which seems to be the source of the trending on Twitter thing. And the article is entitled, The 50 Worst People in the UK Today. Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton.
Oh, Dan Wootton.
The only rule is that the entrants must be living primarily in the UK today, meaning that well-known expats like Prince Harry and Shamina Begum miss out.
Fucking hell.
Fucking prick. Give me a number, I'll tell you who it is.
Who's the 12th worst person living in the UK today?
12th worst person living in the UK today. It's Caroline Dinenage.
Who's that?
when Russell Brand was accused by Channel 4 and the Sunday Times, Dinenage, as chair of the Media Select Committee, she's a Conservative MP, demanded that Russell Brand be demonetised. YouTube immediately relented, proving the concept of innocent before proven guilty no longer exists during media-driven witch hunts. No, that's not just about
media-driven witch hunts. Talk about bitter. Talk about fucking bitter. Unbelievable.
Yeah, you picked a good number there, unless they all kind of vaguely relate to Dan Wootton's own travails. Give me one more. Go on, one more.
Okay, who's the third worst person living in the UK?
Scroll down, scroll. Dr. Shola Mos-Shagbamanu.
Whoa!
Who is the UK's race baiter-in-chief. When Lucy Letby was convicted of the worst baby-killing spree in British history, rather than condemn such a horrific act by a disturbed individual, Dr. Shola returned to her favourite theme, writing, "Lucy Letby exemplifies how ideology of whiteness keeps Britain in a chokehold."
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it doesn't.
Third?
And anyway...
Third?
Fucking out. Like... Fucking, do you know what? Where's he from anyway? I mean, I'm not being
New
like a
Zealand.
xenophobe, but he's from fucking New Zealand.
Yeah.
And like, you know, he's been over here for God knows how long, telling us what this country should stand for and where it's going wrong. And it's like he sort of overlooks the fact he's from New Zealand.
Yeah.
We've done a fucking swap with him and Edmonds. I'd bring back Edmonds any day of the week.
Fucked that right up, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well, all the good ones have gone to New Zealand now.
You know, like the intelligence services arrange sort of swaps between hostages, spies and whatnot.
Yeah.
I wish we did that with celebrities.
We'll have Edmonds back. Edmonds wouldn't come back.
Edmonds doesn't want to come.
Well,
You
let's
know, I
Edmonds
inquired about going out to interview him again.
Did you?
But, yeah, I was given the knockback. I pushed it, but, like, they said, look, his people said to me, Sam, look, even if you got out to New Zealand... Right, like you could fly. The closest you can fly is, I think they said like Auckland. They said, and it's still another like 7 hours from that. It's like that fucking remote where he is. That even once you fly to the nearest fucking airport, you've still got some like incredible race across the world type fucking trek to. I said, good, I'll do it.
Yeah,
I mean, that appealed to me because I thought, well, that's part of the story, isn't it? Going on this sort of, it's almost like a Lord of the Rings type quest to go and see Edmonds in his compound.
It's not the destination; it's the journey, isn't it?
I think they wanted to put me off, and they thought that would put me off, and it didn't. So in the end, they were like, "Well, either way, fuck off. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to see you, and he doesn't want to do it."
He's heard your podcasts.
Yeah. I think he's just. I genuinely think that's why he's out there, is to avoid it. But it was around the time that that Kiwi news outlet started getting stuck into him. So I said, he can. It's a chance for him to answer back. And I go, he doesn't need to. He's got his YouTube channel.
Yeah, well, good luck to him. You know what I mean?
No, good luck to him. I mean, he's got no obligation.
Mainstream media, like Dan
exactly. No, he's got no obligation to speak to me. I wasn't disgruntled in the least. It was like I asked because I wanted to do it because I thought it would be interesting. But ultimately, he stepped away from fucking public life. He's got no
retreat from public life.
Yeah.
Peter Purvis. We're talking about top 50 lists, didn't we? Put Maradona's handball at number one.
Number one, best moment in Britain ever
in British history. Yeah. And obviously, Dan wouldn't put that on his list. I wonder where Jake Humphrey or what Jake Humphrey would regard about Diego Maradona's handball goal.
Well, I don't know. It's difficult because he'd probably think that in a way that is quite high performance because it's tiny margins. Tiny margins. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to win.
It's complicated, isn't it?
Throughout my stellar broadcasting career, like for instance, when I did my audition to be on Blue Peter, there were other people auditioning, and I did anything I could to break their will, to get inside their minds, to distract them, to confuse them. I poisoned someone. I've never admitted this before, but I poisoned a would-be television presenter.
I won't say who, but they're still active in television, so I'll leave it at that.
They know who they are, and I know who they are, and I also know who I am. I am Jake Humphreys, host of the High Performance Podcast. Next question.
Fucking hell. The prediction league, you scored 4 points. You somehow correctly predicted Zambia 2, Zimbabwe 2.
Yeah, that doesn't
3
surprise
points.
me.
3 points for that.
I've never felt. Someone tweeted me that and said, "Is this the best prediction of all time?" Which was kind of them, but I've got to tell you, to me, it wasn't a great prediction. I've never felt more certain about a prediction in my life.
Every correct prediction is just like every other. You don't get
know-
highs or lows from correct predictions. It's
Do you
another
know when
3 points on the board.
footballers say, "As soon as it left my boot, I knew it was a goal"?
Yeah.
That
It's
feeling.
like as soon as it left your mouth.
As soon as
It was a
that
result.
prediction left my brain via my mouth,
Yeah.
I thought,
Yeah.
that's it, 3 points.
Yeah, well, there it is. And it's put you further ahead because you got 4 points this week. Result Spot got 1, I got 1, so you're on 103. You're 6 points ahead of Result Spot now. Streaking ahead.
I've become like Guardiola era Barcelona. Sorry, I know this is very arrogant, but I feel that this is the phase. I feel this is an imperial prediction phase that I'm in
Okay.
right now.
Yeah. We might clip that out at the end of the season.
I don't want to do like a Keegan at Newcastle.
It's a reverse Keegan, almost.
Yeah.
Because you're not being chased. You're streaking ahead.
Yeah, but if I have a collapse,
hell.
but I don't think I will. I think
Wow.
every prediction I touch turns to gold. Shall I quickly tell you about what the cat fucking did to me, though, before we go?
Please do.
I mean, well, I'll start with what happened. There's a bit of backstory to the cat's attitude and the dynamic that exists between me and the cat, which I haven't been happy with for a while now, right? He's one of those cats, if you pick him up, he just there's never any affection. It's just like, as soon as you pick him up, he's just fucking wriggling and trying to get away.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really picking him up fully for a cuddle. I was picking him up because he'd got up on the side on the kitchen counter. I didn't want him up there. So I picked him up to move him. But I did it gently and nicely because I thought maybe combine it with a cuddle, because we all know how relaxing it can be to cuddle a cat, right? Yeah. It's one of the most relaxing things you can do. But this fucking cat, it wriggled out of my arms like a lunatic. Like, it was so over the top, right? But what it did was, it kind of clambers out of my arms, it gets onto my shoulder, right? And then it launches itself. It's done it before. It launched itself from my shoulder across the room on like a launch pad onto another bit of furniture. It likes to remain high. In its defence, it likes to remain high up because the dog often attacks it. And the dog is prone to attacking it in particular when I or anyone else in the family has shown the cat affection. That winds the dog up to fuck.
Fuck me.
Honestly, the dog is a nightmare. So that's why the cat's bad attitude, I've overlooked it for a while now, because I've thought the dog makes its life a nightmare. Like, if there's any interaction at all between a human and the cat and the dog sees it, the dog goes wild with jealous rage, right? And so the cat has launched itself off. But as it's launched, I was already complaining, like, my wife and kids were both in the room. They were laughing, oh, look, it wants to get away from you. So I felt shamed by that, right? And I was like, it always does this. It always wants to get away from me straight away. And as it launched, they're very strong back legs, which are designed as sort of springboards, aren't they? The way they're shaped. It sort of jammed its claws into my neck, right, to get extra purchase, right? And one of its claws, my family have been teasing me about this, but you might know. You see this bit behind the ear, Andy? It's quite soft. Anyone listening, take your index finger and put it in the soft little point behind your ear, right? Yeah. Where there's it doesn't feel like there's a bone or anything. It feels like that is what is known in the world of martial arts or special forces or close security personnel as a pressure point.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of the body's, what is it, Andy? 6 pressure points that if struck correctly.
It's one of the ones where if you hit them right, you kill them.
You kill them. So you got the balls, the willy, the nose, the behind the ear. I can't remember all of them. Right? But it got me in the fucking... and it went... And it fucking jammed its claw into there. And then it took off. And I went, ah! And they all started laughing at me. And I put my hand behind my head. I went, it got me in the pressure point. And like, I did say that because it tripped off the tongue. It was a pressure point. I knew that's a pressure point. And my kids are like laughing, like fucking laughing so much. I thought they were going to cry. They were like crying with laughter. Right. And I was like, stop laughing. It got me in a pressure point. And they were like, what's a fucking pressure point? What's a pressure point? What's a pressure point? You should know what a fucking pressure point is. Pressure point. You can kill someone with a pressure point.
Yeah.
And they were like, it's not a pressure point. Andy, it was fucking bleeding.
No way, the pressure point was bleeding.
There was blood coming out of my pressure point behind the ear. And I was, honestly, I'm not joking, I was worried for a minute. I thought, it's fucking pressure pointed me here. There's blood coming out of my pressure point. I could die.
Blood comes out, that's it. It doesn't stop.
That's what I thought. And they were laughing. I said, stop laughing, I could die. If I fucking die, you'll put a fucking bench up, right? Because this, round here, there's benches everywhere of dead people. I mean, I never feel comfortable sitting on them. There's not one bench that hasn't got a tribute to a dead person on, which is nice, but it means that when I need to sit down in a park or a municipal area, I never can because I feel, well, I don't want to dishonour the dead.
You feel as though their presence is still there somehow?
Yeah, I think they don't want my arse on them, right? Yeah. And
I don't think
so I'm going to them, I'll be fucking dead and you'll be putting a fucking bench on Barnes Green that says, here lies Sam, fucking Buttery Crumpet Delaney, killed by a cat to the pressure point. And they were laughing and laughing. And I've been going on about the pressure. And then my brother-in-law came round. Everyone was going, it's fucking pressure point. What are you on about? My brother-in-law came round a bit late with his family. I said, he'll know. He's a dad, he'll know. I said, oi. As soon as he came through the door. Yeah. I said, oi, listen. See that behind you? It's a pressure point, isn't it? It's like...
Did he say?
Like, what?
He confirmed it.
No, he went, it's a pressure point. And I said, well, the cat got me in the pressure point. It's bleeding. At this stage, I was rubbing antiseptic cream. Because I was like, at the very least, it will get infected from the cat's filthy claw.
Yeah.
But anyway,
automatically.
I haven't spoken to that cat since. I'm really fucked off because... I know I've been scratched by cats before. I know shit happens when you're a cat owner. You've got to take the rough with the smooth. But I felt this was unnecessarily aggressive. The cat could have got off of me without fucking first pushing its claw through the skin of my pressure point and using that as a launch pad.
You feel as though it was a deliberate act of aggression.
I do. And I genuinely, I've been favouring the dog for the last 24 hours. I've been favouring the dog openly.
Yeah,
I have.
In the cat's presence. Yeah.
In the cat's, but the cat obviously couldn't give a fuck. If it was the other way around, if I was favouring the cat and dog's presence, the dog would have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
But the cat's just like, do you think I'd give a flying fuck? Like,
it sounds.
I'm in a bad place with my cat right now.
Yeah. Okay. It sounds complicated. We'll leave the episode there, I think. But we'll get an update on Friday as to what's happened between you and the cat. Maybe you keep a diary. Keep a diary of what's been going on between now and Friday, and also you can sit the kids down and show them some Bruce Lee films where he kills people by attacking the pressure points. Quite often the balls.
I started doing that. Like, my daughter was just like fucking cracking up at pressure points. And do you know what she does as well? When I start saying like stuff that she deems amusing, while I'm talking to her, she doesn't even disguise it. She gets on the phone and starts texting her mates what I'm saying. Like, she doesn't even hide it. She's like, it's like the equivalent of live tweeting.
He's doing it as voice notes.
She'll just be going, my dad's going on about pressure points now. I can see what you're talking about. She go, they'll find this funny. I don't want to be a nitfigure of fun. And then I give them a lift home. They get in the car pissed. And they all get in and start saying stuff like, because I got into this Eddie Abu bloke on Instagram. If I talked to you about him, he's the nutrition guy. He's fucking mad, right? He's just this nutty bloke who's like furious about processed foods. And I find him really funny. But some of the stuff that he says, I've been repeating a lot around the house. And one of the things he says is, bread only has 4 ingredients: water, flour, salt, yeast. That's all it has. And then he'll pick up supermarket bread and he'll go, look at this. This has got fucking 50 ingredients. How's that work, right? And it's sort of funny because he's totally over the top. He was the one who walked into Sainsbury's and picked up some hot cross buns and shouted, hot cross cunts, and threw them across the shop.
I'll check him out. What's
He's
he
really funny. He's called Eddie Abu.
Okay.
And he's like a bodybuilder. He's really funny. But like then these girls, they get in my car and they go, all right, Sam. And they go, Sam, how many ingredients are there in bread? And I know it's because my fucking daughter's been sending them conversations the whole time. They're taking the piss out of me for private things I've said privately in my home to my family.
Yeah, it's not odd, is it? You just said them all on this public podcast as well. I believe you're on a deadline to go out somewhere, so can we wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm going to a gig. I better go.
Yeah, all right. Ta-ra.
See you, everyone. That's that.